if anybody was raised in a household like mine, where poker was just all the time being played. Anybody? My dice and dominoes, 42, spades. Y'all getting fights over spades. Man. And anybody in here, you grew up in a family like mine to where my grandparents and aunts and uncles would play poker, and they had like a metal tin of coins. And they would just play quarters and dimes and nickels. And it was like, no one ever really made a lot of money, but a lot of gambling was happened. And I was my grandparents' beer runner. So when the mountains weren't so cold anymore, they would be like, Chris, go get me another drink, right? And I can remember I got good at poker. And I got fairly good at poker, and so much so that I used to hustle people just a little bit. No, not me. And one of my tricks that I used to play that I don't play anymore, that I did pull on Jorge, his sisters, and his whole family, is that we were at a Christmas party one time, and I used to not be able to do that either, and my whole family would make fun of me. In fact, I could not shuffle. Anybody like, you couldn't shuffle? You would be the dealer, but you couldn't shuffle, right? But what I would do is, I remember we had a $5 buy-in, and I bought the buy-in and tried to lose as many hands as quick as possible. I wanted to lose my money so that I'd be like, God, I can't believe I'm already done. They'd be like, well, it's still early. You want to buy back in? Oh, you think? Sure. And that's the time I'd now run the tables. And I would have so much fun, but what was great about it is that I was really good at like messing with people at the table. And if you know anything about poker, now there's a bunch of different kinds, but we even played Texas Hold'em. It's the one, right? And one of the biggest keys about Texas Hold'em, right? Now think about it. How many cards do you get when you play Texas Hold'em? 2. I don't know what this card has. They don't know what I have. You burn, flip, right? Burn, flip, burn, flip, right? How many cards are in that? What is this called? The flop. This is, right? Uh-huh. Here we go. See people that played. But see, what would happen is you would try to, with the cards, these are my cards just as much as their cards, right? But you don't know what's in my hand. And I can always remember there were certain people, I don't want you to put people on blast, but I want to. Where's the worst poker player you know because they can't at all like hold themselves? They're like, oh yeah, all in. You're like, we're all out. We're done. You're horrible, right? Or you know that person that doesn't know how to hold their cards right? Right? There we go. Okay. But what's so funny is that this came to my mind when I was reading my Bible this week, which reminded me of Bible study. Because it said in Corinthians, it said that these people were using godliness in order to actually become wealthy. And I was like, what? Why would people use religious activities? Why would they do this? Why would they do godliness stuff in order to fill their pockets? It even said, it goes, man, where is your contentment? Like being content. Like, where is that? Like, the Bible literally says, you came in this world with nothing. Anybody ever heard your parents say that? You came in this world with nothing. Again, I brought you in it, and you can leave with nothing, and I'll take you out. But we see this in the Bible that I was like, what did that have to look like in order to make it look pretty, but you had different motives on the inside? And I could used to think about the people that, I'll tell you this, there were certain people in my family that could play poker great, and they started getting really bad the more they would drink. So I was okay losing hands early because I knew by the end of the night I was going to get my money back. Because you're going to be like, you're going to tell me exactly what you're dealing with. But I started thinking about this. I started thinking about if I have my cards and you have your cards, what if it's in life, it's the fact of there's a lot more going on that you see. And has anybody ever had somebody walk behind you and call out the cards you had in your hand? Makes you want to punch them in the face, don't it? I mean, I've got this close to my hand. We're all playing on this. This is your cards as much as mine. And just so you know, I would be folding. But just so you know. But what I love is this. What we've learned in even this month so far with Bible study, Jesus was doing this to the Pharisees. They had their cards close to their chest. They were like here, and he was going, hey, you have a horrible heart. What? Don't tell them. You're doing this for selfish ambition. No, I'm not. Hey, you're praying so everybody can see you do it. No, stop. And Jesus is walking around, and what I loved is this. Do we still have that microphone or not? If not, I want you to go grab into Schmeckel, where are we at? What have you noticed in the Bible study that the theme, and we've talked about, of Jesus calling out the Pharisees, what kind of things was he calling out in their life? Say it again. Unforgiveness. Pride, hypocrisy. So you're saying they would look at the same thing in the middle, but based on what they were holding close to their chest, changed how well they were handling something. So somebody, we would see stories in the Bible to where somebody would get healed, somebody would get free, and everybody would be like, man, that's amazing. And the Pharisees are like, on the Sabbath? I mean, she's at the feet of Jesus, pouring oil on his feet, and they're like, do you know what kind of woman that is? I mean, this one situation in the middle, everybody could see, but what they were holding close to their chest, and this is something cool that's not even basically what we're preaching today, but it's been something we got to learn. And Michael, I called you Michael. I'm going to put you on the spot, okay? What I want you to do is this, is I want you to connect. Ready? In just a minute. Has anybody ever heard the scripture that says, if they don't, the rocks will cry out? Right? And so we've seen that, and we all think that if you don't worship, the rocks will sing. Well, one thing that we understood is this. Now, Michael, I guess we're going with it today. All of these things that were happening with the triumphal entry, we're actually pointing to things that were all through the Old Testament. So real quick, tell me and connect it to when they told them to be quiet, and connect it to what the prophecy said about the rocks. Tell me real quick.
Check. So in Habakkuk 2 is a book that we all spent a whole lot of time in, right? But Habakkuk was a prophet, and he talked about Jerusalem. It's all poetic, and it's talking about how Jerusalem, or the Pharisees or the Jews, are building these buildings on ill-gotten gain. It even says that you're giving your neighbor a drink that you put venom in to get them drunk on. It says that you in one section, Luke alludes to it and says that you feast on widows, you devour widows' houses. So, like, in other words, they abuse everything to get what they want, which is not always money. Sometimes it's power, you guys.
Yeah.
It's not, we always think as long as there's no money involved, but, power is addictive too. And then in the middle of that, it says that that house that the Pharisees have built, it says that the stone in the wall will cry out. And that's what Jesus was quoting. And it says a rafter will speak against it. In other words, something in the building will eventually come out and everything will be revealed. And so that's what Jesus is saying. He's talking to the Pharisees.
So was it just happenstance that it was a cult that was riding on? What was that alluding to?
In Zechariah, it says that the king is coming on a donkey, a colt.
You know how Jesus rode in? He says, go get the colt for me. And Jesus rode in on it. That's prophecy revealed. Do you guys remember the palm branches they waved in the air? That was actually an alludement to what? What did we see that in Scripture it says that they would raise that when they would welcome a king? What part was that?
I think it's 2 Kings, and then also the garments that they put down.
Garments that they put down.
King Jeshua.
So what we're seeing, now look at this. All of these things that were pointing to Jesus, all of these things that were pointing to Jesus, they saw something beautiful. The cards in their hand was, this man wants to take our power. This man wants to take our authority. They looked good. Everything looked good here, but the cards they were holding close to their chest showed something a little bit different. And what can happen, and this is to show you the two things that will happen, is the idols that we've been talking about weeks and weeks and weeks are, Stephen, what are the things we said about the idols? What do they do? Anything that gets between us loving God and loving people. And what happens is beautiful is this, is that I can remember Carson had been here, how long? A month? Maybe 2 months? And he messaged me, hey, can we have coffee? And I was like, sure, yeah. Oh, crap, okay. All right, and I'm there at coffee, and he's talking, and I was like, hey, man, if you just want to go ahead and tell me. He's like, tell you what? I was like, what your problem is? But nobody wants to have coffee with me like this. People, when they want to have meetings, it's because they have an issue and they have a problem with me or something's wrong. And he goes, huh? He said, I'm sorry that you've never had people that you've gone through so many things that's what it is, that you can't even just enjoy coffee. And I look now, and Carson and I beat the fire out of each other on a weekly basis. But I was even doubting real friendships. I was doubting closeness. Because people always have their cards close because they can't love me that way. They always have a reason they want to love me. Especially, anybody in here ever knew what it was like to be the kid with the pool and everybody wanted to be your friend just because they wanted to go to your house and use your pool? Right? You're like, I didn't even